So we do IT, facility management and human resources, and I want to focus today on the HR component of that, and I want to talk about our selection process, how we select applicants, and how software tooling supports us with that. So our selection process, this is really a story about how we do applicant selections at TopDesk. And this selection process is that I want to talk about, and there are 4 things that I want to highlight. As applicant selection is a very complex process, I think, but there are 4 things that I want to point out today. The first thing is, who actually selects applicants? People from the HR department, of course, have a very important role in that. But we also involve as much as possible colleagues in that process. So job interviews at TopDesk are done with the direct colleagues that people will work with. So it gives our colleagues the opportunity to see the applicant that is going to be selected. It also gives the applicant the opportunity to see with whom he or she will be working with. And I believe it gives a much better commitment from both sides. So the applicant is much more involved because he already knows who he's going to be working with, and also the other way around. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, to think about who you want to be working with. Because it's very easy to think about skills. For instance, we are looking often for software developers, and that's easy to test also, because you just give them a piece of software they have to develop or a test, and if they pass it, well, you might hire them. If they don't pass it, they're probably not good enough. But that's not the only thing you have to think about during a selection process. You have to ask questions like, who do you want to work with? Who are you actually going to trust with your clients? So we created a candidate profile, and this profile is quite complex, but there are things like, responsibility, and people should be able to take initiative, they should be creative. So we have quite a worked out profile that we want to test for during job interviews. Well, testing for skills, as I said, is easy, but testing for this profile is quite a bit harder. And what you often see in job interviews is that people start to ask what-if questions. A question like, what would you do if you have an angry customer on the phone? And I believe that's a wrong question, because everybody will answer it now. I would be very understanding, and I would listen, and I would offer my help, and I would be very polite. But that doesn't tell you anything. Everybody will give you this social desirable answer. The only thing that you test for if the candidate can actually give social desirable answers. So what we do is that we never ask what would you do if questions. We always ask for questions, have you ever been in a situation where you had to deal with an angry customer, and tell me how that went. We believe that the past is can better predict the future than the what-if questions. Now, this is quite a complex way of doing interviews, and we adopted for that the so-called STAR methodology. That's not something that we came up with. It's quite a well-known process in the world. It stands for situation, tasks, activities, and results, and I'm not going to talk about how that exactly works, because that would be a topic of a different conversation, but that's the process that we adapted to test for what happened in reality. And that's a difficult methodology to learn, so everybody who does applicant selection with us has to do a training also. In the picture here you see an actor who is testing, who is playing an applicant, and who is doing a job interview with one of our co-workers. So training job interviews is an important part of our selection process. And the last thing, what we think is important, is that you have to pay respect to your applicants as much as you do towards your customers. In the end, you want also your applicants, who become your colleagues, to pay respect for your customers. So that works both ways. Pay respect to your applicants. Be open to them. Be honest to them. Be transparent. And also what comes with respect is that we have a target to respond to all our applicants within 1 business day. I don't know how well you can read this page, but you can see this is about all our applicants in only this year, 2018, quite a lot already. In 95% we reached that target, so 5% we still have to work on that a bit. So 95% of all our applicants, when they send in an application, within 1 business day we gave them a response, even if that means sometimes, I'm sorry, I can't tell you whether or not we are going to invite you, but at least we received your application and we promise to respond to you soon. So this graph is a nice step towards the next topic, because that's about automation and tooling. And probably it's not going to surprise you that we use our own software, TopDesk, to help us during the applicant selection. And that tool that helps us in a lot of ways to smoothen this process of applicant selection. One thing that it does is if an applicant sends an email to our job email address, that email gets automatically converted into a to-do item for the HR people. The HR people then have a lot of templates that they can choose from to give the applicant an appropriate response. Sometimes that is, we first want you to do some homework at home, or could you please send us some additional information. But these templates are already available and are also automatically personalized. So automatically the name of the applicant is already being filled in, and it helps us also to reach that target that I just showed you. It also facilitates the communication between, for instance, a first round and a second round interviews. If a first round interview is done, then the people who did this first round write a report and move this to-do item over to the people who are going to do the second round job interview. And those people get a report automatically, and they can read up everything that happened in the past via our tool. And the picture that you see here, that is what we call our self-service portal. Our applicants get access to a self-service portal online, where they can view the status of their job application process. They can also ask questions there, they can submit homework, they can see a profile of the people that they are going to meet during the job interview process. So this is also our way of paying respect to the applicant, being open and transparent towards our applicants. Truth to be told, this is still in a pilot phase, but I hope to have that up and running for everybody during March or something. And the last thing, of course, is important, is reporting. One of the reports that you already saw was our response time towards applicants, but it also gives us insight in where our applicants are coming from. For instance, which recruiter sends us the most applicants, or from which recruiter we actually have the most hires in the end, or how many people get stuck in the first round interview and we never send to the second round process, etc. So this is what we do during applicant selection. If we hire then in the end an applicant, the process for the selection team is finished, but for HR it is not. Because then starts the onboarding process, and that's not what I want to dive into much today, but that's also something that is supported by tooling. So more departments will be involved. IT needs to make an account, facility management needs to provide for an entrance card. Human resource again needs to submit the data to the payroll supplier. There's all kinds of dependencies between those activities, and the tooling helps us with templates to start all kinds of activities automatically for the onboarding process. So tooling during the whole HR process is very important for us nowadays. Now you can read more about this presentation, and also, for instance, the STAR methodology or the onboarding process on our website, how tooling helps us with that. Thank you very much.